Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, a lot, and I mean a lot to talk about today, but at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, President-elect Donald Trump will be officially sentenced in a New York courtroom. He will not be there in person. He will have to be there virtually by uber partisan Democrat Juan Merchan, the judge who is determined to taint Trump, to brand Trump a convicted felon 10 days before he is to become president of the United States. So here is exactly now what is happening, my friends. Trust me, I know the California fires, huge story, but in a couple of hours, the eyes of the nation and the eyes of the world are going to be on a courtroom in downtown Manhattan. Juan Merchan recently came out with a ruling that despite President Trump's victory in November, despite the Supreme Court's ruling last summer that he has broad presidential immunity for official acts taken while president of the United States, that it does not matter. Donald Trump will be sentenced as a convicted felon. And not only that, when Trump urged that this judgment by Merchan and the 34 counts guilty verdict by the jury on falsifying business records be overturned, Merchan has refused. Trump then went for an emergency appeal, a petition to the Supreme Court. And a deeply divided Supreme Court last night came out with its ruling. Merchan has the green light to now sentence Trump as a convicted felon. Now, here, let me give you the exact specific details. According to the Supreme Court, Trump will have the right, once he is sentenced today, to then officially lodge an appeal to the Supreme Court eventually and have those convictions overturned. So this was a procedural motion on the part of the Supreme Court. It has nothing to do with the merits of the case. But still, as Merchan himself said, and this is what I find most disgusting of all, he last week when Trump was asking him to basically overturn, to set aside the guilty verdict, Merchan came out and said, I want you to be sentenced even though you are not going to get any jail or prison time whatsoever. You are not going to get even any probation, no fine, not even any post-sentencing monitoring. In other words, no punishment of any kind. Which begs the question, why is President Trump being sentenced today? If there's going to be no punishment, according to Judge Juan Merchan, if nothing is going to happen to Trump, not even the proverbial slap on the wrist, he won't even be fined $5. What's the point of all of this? And my friends, the point is obvious. It is the attempt by the Democrats and the outgoing Biden administration and Merrick Garland and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because make no mistake about it, Juan Merchan is a judicial legal hitman. He is an assassin for the Democrats in their attempt to smear him, defame him, undermine, and destroy him. And so the point is to stamp convicted felon on the forehead of Donald Trump less than 2 weeks, in fact 10 days, before he is to be sworn in and take the oath as the 47th president of the United States. Already, the liberal anti-Trump media is using today's sentencing as a stick to bludgeon Trump, to whack him and beat him over the head, saying again and again, and you're going to hear this 1,000 times in the next week, that Donald Trump, after 9:30 a.m. today, will be the first convicted felon to ever become president of the United States in American history. And they're going to use this to taint Trump, to attack Trump, to brand Trump, to weaken Trump, to smear, defame him, hammer him, hammer him, hammer him in order to undermine his authority. That's what this is all about. Now, many of you are probably asking, how did the Supreme Court rule in terms of the breakdown of the court? Again, Chief Justice John Roberts sided with the three radical leftists on the High Court: Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, Ketanji Brown Jackson. So again, A2, John Roberts. And even you had to stab me in the back. But the fifth vote and the deciding vote to greenlight Judge Merchan's sentencing of Trump as a felon today was Amy Coney Barrett. And so the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 last night that Trump's efforts, his appeal to have this sentencing blocked, was denied by the Supreme Court. The other four conservative justices, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh, all said that Trump was completely right, completely within his rights to have the sentencing suspended until he went through the official appeal process. However, again, Amy Coney Barrett and Chief Justice Roberts defected, joining the liberal bloc 5-4. Trump today will be branded as the first convicted felon to ever enter the Oval Office. Now, let me just say a couple of points, and then if the lines are full, I'm going to take calls right after the break. So if you want, load them up now. 617-266-6868 is the number. The first and the most important point is that the Supreme Court yesterday, to be fair, as I mentioned, but it bears repeating, did not rule on the merits of the case. And there is no question, once this starts being appealed, this sentencing, this ridiculous verdict is going to be overturned. There is no way in hell that this conviction is going to stand on many, many levels. One of the most obvious reasons being when Alvin Bragg and his prosecutorial assassins, when they brought supposed evidence in court to try to prove that Donald Trump broke some kind of a campaign finance law when he signed an NDA with Stormy Daniels, the adult film actress who claimed that she had an affair with Trump, or a one-night stand, to be more accurate, and they settled for $130,000. Alvin Bragg used evidence while Trump was then president of the United States. Remember, she made the accusation and the NDA was signed before the 2016 election. But then Trump was still dealing with the fallout from this after he was sworn in and officially president. Well, the lawyers for Trump rightly argued, according to the Supreme Court's own ruling, the president has immunity for official acts while he's president of the United States. So how can evidence be used against Trump while he was president of the United States? So it's going to be overturned on that ground. It's going to be overturned on the fact that the entire case is bogus, that he paid Stormy Daniels from his own money for an NDA. It's not illegal to have an affair. I don't believe he even slept with her, if you want to know the truth. I think she's lying, but let that go. It's not illegal to have an affair. Morally, that's a different issue, but legally, there's no crime. There's no crime in signing an NDA. Non-disclosure agreements are signed thousands of times every single day in the United States. Hell, corporate America, business, Hollywood, I could go on, sign NDAs all the time. He paid from his own personal account. It's not like he used campaign funds or donations or other people's money. So where's the crime? Where's the crime? And that's the amazing thing. Today, as Trump is going to be sentenced as a convicted felon, Alvin Bragg still, and Judge Juan Merchan still, cannot point or identify the fundamental underlying crime that Trump is guilty of. Because remember, under New York law, even if you accept that he falsified business records, I mean, it's his own money. How could it be falsifying business records? But let that go. It's still a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. So what's the underlying felony? They can't say. This is a miscarriage of justice. This is a travesty of justice. And Judge Merchan should be ashamed of himself. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, in about roughly 3 hours and 10 minutes, President-elect Donald J. Trump will be sentenced. And this is what's incredible. To make it as nakedly partisan and obviously partisan as possible, Judge Merchan has admitted, at least in his pretrial statements, that Trump will get no jail time whatsoever over the hush money case. Not only will he get no jail time, not a second in prison, but no fine, no probation, not even any post-sentencing monitoring at all. It's called an unconditional discharge. Trump is going to get an unconditional discharge. Nothing. No punishment at all. So then why are we there today? What's the point? And that is to sentence him and brand him as a convicted felon, from which the Democrats and the media can then use to relentlessly undermine Trump's authority and attack him as the first president in history to enter office as a felon. And so my question to you, 617-266-6868 is the number. What do you make of Merchan's sentencing today? Trump says it will impact and badly damage the ability of a president going into the future. He is livid about this. He has tried everything to block this sentence. Every avenue now was cut off. The final one by the Supreme Court yesterday, in fact, last night, in a 5-4 narrow decision, deeply divided high court. They are giving Merchan the green light to proceed with his sentencing of Trump today at 9:30 in New York, in a New York courtroom. My question to you, with Trump now being sentenced as a convicted felon, does this damage his authority? Does it undermine his administration and his presidency before he even steps into the Oval Office? Or do you think most Americans simply don't care? Will this hurt Trump or do no damage to Trump? 617-266-6868. And one last quick log on the fire. How do you feel about it? Personally, seriously, are you offended that Trump is being railroaded like this, persecuted like this, that this is the culmination of their lawfare, that they have nothing to show for it, that they're basically admitting that they can't even put him behind bars because they had to manufacture these pathetic, ridiculous crimes against him in their lawfare attempt to try to destroy this man? And so are you offended that Trump will be labeled by a court as a felon 10 days before he's sworn in and puts his hand on the Bible? 617-266-6868. I'll be honest with you. I think it's disgusting. I think it's reprehensible. I think it's wrong. And I think Trump is right. I think it will undermine his authority. Now, not in my eyes, not in your eyes, not in the eyes of his voters, but they want to damage him in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of the world, and in the eyes of the history books. Agree, disagree, 617 266-6868. Eddie in Maine. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
Hey, Kuhner, Eddie, Sebago Lake, Maine. I'm very
Eddie.
sorry for the loss of your father.
Thank you, Eddie.
I can't believe that all the crimes and the treason, the stealing that Biden and his family done, the only punishment is a great retirement package. I hope Trump finds a way to go after him and Barack Hussein Obama. That's why he was sitting there laughing and joking with him at the funeral yesterday, because he could have done something to help him out, but he did nothing. I hope he goes after him, and I'm so pissed off at our judicial, our court system. That nobody. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, Jeff. I don't know what to tell you.
Eddie, if you don't mind me asking, and if I'm getting too personal, please tell me, because I agree with you completely. He's got to go after Biden. He's got to go after Obama. If this is now how the Democrats want to play, if, former presidents and presidents who are not in power, if it's fair game to go after them, then I'm telling you, Joe Biden, you're right. He is the most criminal, corrupt president we've ever had. If Joe Biden is able to leave office and retire into the sunset, but Trump is the convicted felon, I'm sorry, but that to me is the Twilight Zone. That's an upside-down world I don't want to live in. But, Eddie, I want to ask you, does it bother you as a Trump supporter that he is going to be sentenced? I know he's not going to be in the courtroom. It's going to be virtually, but still, he's going to have the mark of Cain. He's going to have the mark of a convicted felon on him before he becomes sworn in as president again. Do you find it offensive? And do you find it degrading to Trump and to the presidency itself?
I do. And that's why I still can't believe it, especially the Supreme Court. I can't believe what's going on. Like I said, everything.
I agree. No, I agree. Everything that's being done is being done to undermine and damage Trump. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very quickly, because the lines are jammed, and I really want to get your reaction on this, Kuhner country. President Trump, livid, furious, defiant. In fact, I think I've never seen him like this. He is extremely angry that he will be sentenced today. He says this is a complete miscarriage of justice. But even worse than that, forget the personal persecution and the branding, that he will now be marked and branded as a convicted felon. Trump's central argument is that this is incredibly, almost irreparably, his words, damaging to the institution of the presidency. To use lawfare in order to get a bogus conviction, and then to have this two-bit partisan judge with a massive conflict of interest. Remember, his daughter was fundraising millions and millions and millions of dollars, telling the top Democrat donors, my daddy will get Trump. Don't you worry. Daddy will get Trump. And Trump is saying, so now I'm going to be seen as a convicted felon in the eyes of the public and in the eyes of the world, and in a brazen attempt to do this before I get inaugurated, simply to undermine me politically. Now, think about this. Just stand back for a second. What was the verdict of the people that mattered? The American people, the American voters. In November, they voted in a strong, decisive majority that they reject the lawfare against Trump, that the federal prosecutions brought against him were bogus, that the Georgia case against him was bogus, and that this ridiculous case by Alvin Bragg and Judge Ron Merchan regarding the NDA signed with Stormy Daniels, that it was garbage and bogus. And yet, in the face of the will of the American people, they're going to continue to go ahead with this sentencing, even though the judge himself, this corrupt hack, admits that the crimes allegedly convicted by Trump, that the crimes that he allegedly was guilty of, were so insignificant, were so petty, were so small and trivial He goes, I don't know what your problem is. You're not going to go to jail for a second. I'm not even going to fine you $1. You won't even get probation. You're getting nothing, literally nothing. So what's the point? The point is just simple, convicted felon. That's it. Stamp it right on his forehead. And then the left can mock him, and the media can mock him and slander him and mention it over and over and over again to undermine, undercut, and damage him for the next 4 years. All they're going to do now is refer to him as convicted felon. And that's the only point of today's sentencing. They're giving the big middle finger to the American people and to the American voter. Remember, the people, we spoke on this, and our verdict was not guilty. In fact, our verdict was I can't say it, bull crap, BS, Bravo Sierra. That was our verdict. And this pathetic little corrupt weasel of a judge, this Democratic hitman, has the gall to say, I don't care about the voters. I don't care about the will of the American people. I don't care about justice. I don't care about truth. I don't care about the law. I don't care about what's right. I want this guy to go down in history with the shame of being the only convicted felon to ever become president of the United States. Now you know why Trump is mad as hell. Now you know why the guy exhausted every avenue to try to get this sentencing blocked. And last night, the Supreme Court said, niet, 5-4. They're giving Merchan the green light to proceed with his judicial, legal, political execution of Trump. And I, for one, am disgusted. Agree, disagree. Estelle in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Estelle, and welcome.
Oh, Jeff, thanks for taking my call very much.
Pleasure.
I appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All the best to you and your family, Estelle.
I think that Trump, who reinvents himself every so often, I'm not trying to say he can make lemonade out of lemons. I don't think he can. But with all the pardons that our current president just did, I mean, if that is highlighted, if this indeed goes forth, and President Trump is a convicted felon, I think he needs to shine a light on what Joe Biden just recently did and show all those folks who were pardoned. And somehow, I don't know, there's so many people who should have been pardoned, Jeff. Leonard Peltier, so many people. And those people's, the president turned his back on the people who needed a pardon. And maybe somehow we can make lemonade out of lemons. I don't know. Maybe we can.
Well, what Trump has said, I'm just going by what his public statements, and I know, in fact, and privately, his people have said the exact same thing, is on day one, he's got about 100 executive orders. He's already got pre-written. So he's going to move very aggressively on the border, on immigration, but also on pardons. He's going to give out a lot of pardons to the J6ers. So he is going to move very aggressively on literally the second he's sworn in. So he is going to move strong on the pardon front. Because this is an alleged state crime, he can't pardon himself. So now I'm a little optimistic because it's called the appellate process. He can now, after the sentencing of today, and he will be sentenced, and he will be branded a convicted felon. That is a guarantee. And Merchan, if he's a man of his word, will not, it's called an unconditional discharge. He will give no punishment to Trump at all. Okay, so basically it's nothing. What we're seeing is nothing, except they just want to, stick it to him and label him as a convicted felon. So this is going to happen. It's guaranteed in about 3 hours. Trump then, once he's officially sentenced, then can say, okay, I want an appeal. And every legal expert worth his or her salt says this appeal, this decision, this conviction will be overturned, whether in the state courts or ultimately in the Supreme Court. So the problem is, though, as you know, Estelle, the court system, these things take forever. And so Trump is saying, no, look, can't you see? This is a blatant political attack to bleed me. That's what this is about. It's to come in there and from, the first day I'm sworn in, I'm going to already be attacked and called a convicted felon. So they're already looking to cut me and cut me and cut me. And they hope that if they keep cutting me, they're going to basically gut my authority and gut my presidency. That's what this is all about. That's why Trump is fuming. He says, again, they saddled me with Russia, Russia, Russia the first time. Now they're going to try to saddle me with felon, felon, felon. And that's why, to me, what's happening today is outrageous. It truly is a miscarriage of justice. And look, I'm with the 4 conservative justices on the Supreme Court. This sentence should be blocked. It should be blocked, and then it should be allowed to go to appeal. I'm sorry, this is wrong. Everybody can see, and Merchan tipped his hand. If this is such a non-crime that you don't even think this guy won't even be, Trump won't even be fined a penny. A penny. He won't even be given probation. That's what a joke this whole crime is. Because as I said from the beginning, who is the victim? Remember, the essence of our justice system is there has to be a victim. Well, who's the victim? I mean, let's say you believe her. Okay, I don't. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, you believe Stormy Daniels. Okay? So, who's the victim? Did she consent to sleep with him? Yes. Did she get her $130,000? Yes. What's the problem? Did Trump pay out of his own bank account? Yes. But what's the problem? I mean, really. If he took campaign money, if he took donations, say that you or I or whoever gave him, and paid her off with it, that's something else. Then we can say, well, we're the victims. We got defrauded. We gave it to Trump for the campaign. He used it to pay off, this porn star. Okay, but no, where's the victim? Literally, where's the victim? There's no victim. It's his money. She took the money. She's happy with the money. She says it was a consensual one-night stand. So apparently she's happy. Where's the victim? There's no victim. Now, even this crazy moonbat judge has to admit, well, there's no victim. So I can't give him a second in prison because I'd be disbarred right away, taken off the bench right away, because just over what? What are you going to put him in prison for? He can't even justify a $10 fine. No probation, nothing. Now, any sane person would say, I'm overturning the verdict. Just we're wasting everybody's time here. But no, this is partisan. This is political. This is a hit job. President Trump, in about 2 hours, 40 minutes, will be officially sentenced by Judge Juan Merchan for allegedly falsifying business records, which, by the way, is not even a felony. That's a misdemeanor. I mean, he didn't falsify anything. It was his money, but let that go. It's a misdemeanor. What the underlying felony is, we still don't know. It doesn't matter. They found him guilty on 34 counts. Now Merchan is going to sentence him and brand him as a convicted felon, even though he said in a statement earlier last week that there will be no punishment for Trump. He will be given what's called an unconditional discharge, which means no jail time, none whatsoever, no fine, no probation, not even a monitoring, post-sentencing monitoring. It's not even a slap on the wrist. So why are we wasting everybody's time? Because they want him libeled and labeled as a felon. That's what this is all about. That's what this has all been about for God knows how many years. It is the perversion of our justice system. It is lawfare to the ultimate extreme. 617-266-6868. My question to all of you, double-barreled. Number one, just how do you feel personally I don't know why I'm taking all this so personally, but I feel almost like it's a punch in the gut. It's just wrong. He doesn't deserve, compared to Biden, Hillary, Bill Clinton, Bubba, Obama. I could go on. And he's the one that ends up going to the presidency as the first convicted felon? Are you the only honest one in the bunch? Ugh. I'm sorry, it turns my stomach. But that's me. I want to hear from you. And I think maybe in some ways even the more important question. Will this impact Trump's ability to be an effective president? Trump says it will. He says it will undermine his authority. It will undercut him in the eyes of the public, not everybody. But he says this is a body blow to the presidency and to the institution of the presidency. Do you agree? 617-266-6868. John in Malden. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. My condolences on your father, and he's around spiritually. That's
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
I think Amy Barrett, the judge, I think they got to her. I really think so. And nothing to is, if he can just set his mind to, I'll prove it. And he's done it before with other stuff. He can prove to the people about, being labeled that he can do the job without saying, or try to say, without hearing that, oh, you're a convicted felon. I really think he can do it. It's just the mindset. He's got to reset his mind, and that's it. That's all. That's all I can say. And also, he'll find a way to get back at these people. He will. He'll find a way. He always does. But that's how I feel about it. To me, hey, just go in there, do your job to get, like the old saying goes, sticks and stones might break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Go in there, do your job, do it well enough, and people will overlook, he's a felon. But he's got to prove it that he can do it, mind-wise. He has to reset his mind for it.
Well, John, I think, look, really, he's got no choice now. I mean, that's now the hand that he's been dealt with. He's got no choice. Look, I think he's going to be an incredibly effective president. In fact, I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think he'll go down in history as one of the greatest presidents we've ever had, especially by the time he's done with his second term. I thought his first term was phenomenal. I think his second term, if it's possible, will be even better. Because this will be even a more experienced Trump who really knows where all the bodies are buried, where all the skeletons are, where all the mines are, where all the traps are. This is not a newcomer coming in as in his first term. This is a man now who really knows how Washington works. So he's ready now to really drain the swamp. So I agree with you, John. I think he's going to have to plow ahead. And look, if I were advising him, I'd say you got to put the pedal to the metal on the appeals. I mean, the moment that sentence comes down at 9:30, 9:31, you got to send this off to appeal. In other words, you got to get this monkey off your back as quickly as you can. And in fact, if I were him, I would address the country. I don't think he's planning to, but I would. I would say, this is lawfare. This is exactly what you sent me to fix. This is the weaponization and, frankly, the corruption and the perversion of our legal justice system to destroy the left's political enemies. And I am not going to let this stand. And I think the country's going to say, amen, brother. So if I were him, I would go on the offense right away and say, I want to go back to the Supreme Court now, and not on this technicality of whether they should block the sentencing. I want you to rule on the merits of the case itself. And then we'll see what the Supreme Court says. But I do want to say one final thing, John, because I do agree with you on everything that you said. Amy Coney Barrett. I loved Amy Coney Barrett before she became a Supreme Court justice. When she was a professor at Notre Dame, the Amy Coney Barrett that I see now as Justice Coney Barrett is not the same Amy Coney Barrett as the professor at Notre Dame. Something has changed. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they've intimidated her. I don't know if they've scared her or frightened her or bullied her, if they have something over her, if they're blackmailing her. I don't know what it is. But this is not the same woman that was, this brilliant, and I have to say she was a brilliant conservative legal mind when she was a scholar and a professor at Notre Dame. She's timid. She's cautious. She rules against many of her own fundamental principles. There's something going on. Chief Justice John Roberts, I've been saying this now for 15 years, something is wrong with that man. And he's clearly being blackmailed. And what they have over him, I think I know what it is, but it's obvious. That man is deeply conflicted, and I think he's been corrupted. I think there's no question. And those were the two that flipped and voted with the three liberals, 5-4, giving now Merchan the green light to sentence Trump today. John, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mike, who's next on the board? Dave in Weymouth. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Dave? Nice to hear from you.
Good. Jeff, I'll tell you, being railroaded really kind of bites it, if you know what I mean. Jeff, we know where we're going there, but we'll leave that on the other side. Jeff, this is bull. I'm driving down, going down by Weymouth down here, and I'm listening to, I think, wait a minute. There was nothing, it's not like he took campaign funds, number one. Whatever he had to pay that broad off with, he paid out of his own pocket. It had nothing to do with anything political or nothing. So it's like you're saying, there's nothing there, Jeff, and they're fishing. They're fishing like they were doing 4 or 5 years ago. There's nothing there. So how can he be sentenced when everybody else said not guilty, and then you get this broad here who's my daddy's gonna get him. My daddy's gonna get him. He needs to shut up her mouth, Jeff. I'm getting tired of it. The man busted his butt. They went after his family. They went after his house. But now they want the tower, too? It's like, no. She needs to shut up and just, leave the guy alone. Let him do his job. Biden's not going no place, Jeff. His friggin' punk-ass son ain't going nowhere. Everybody's being left free on everything with pardons and everything else. Leave the guy alone and let him do the job that he's supposed to do right and leave him alone.
Amen. Amen. Dave, look, just to pile on, but amen. I really, I couldn't have said it better myself. You've got this corrupt weasel judge whose daughter has made millions of dollars off of prosecuting and persecuting and getting Trump. Now, that right there is a blatant conflict of interest. They allow this in New York? Is New York that corrupt? Like, seriously. This is even in Eastern Europe, they don't do that. I'm telling you. Even in Eastern Europe, they go, well, no, you can't have your son or daughter profiting off of you being the judge. Like, you got to keep up some kind of appearances here. Make it the niece, make it the nephew, make it your first cousin, make it your aunt, but don't make it be your daughter, for God's sake. So the judge is financially invested in getting Trump and getting him convicted, and he delivered. So that's a blatant conflict of interest. Then, on top of that, as you said, Dave, look, I don't know how you run everybody does it differently, how you run your family budget. In our home, Grace has a bookkeeping record, okay? Like a little book, okay? And, this much for electricity, this much for the food budget, this much for the mortgage, this much for the car payments, right? So what Trump did, literally, is in his own personal records, nothing to do with his business, says, okay, $130,000, I want to pay off this woman, get her off my back. Now, he put in 34 times in the ledger $130,000. That's how they got to their 34 counts. It was the same $130,000. That's how they got to 34. That's to show you how insane this is. Now, as I've been saying the whole time, say you have an affair on your wife. Is it despicable? Of course. Is it immoral? Of course. Even if you accept her argument. But where's the crime? It's not a crime. If it was a crime, all of Washington would be in jail. All of Hollywood would be in jail. All of corporate America would be in jail. Who are we kidding? So, sleeping with a porn star is not a crime. Giving an NDA is not a crime. And it came from his own money. And they go, well, he's falsifying records. What's he falsifying? And B, it's his own personal money. That's literally, imagine if, I don't know, I'm taking $100 from my bank account, I don't know, to gamble. Okay, whatever. Okay, to go to strip clubs. Here, how's this? So there I am, woohoo, woohoo. Okay, every week. And the government comes and says, well, hold on, your personal records, that $100, that's not accounted for. Grace has got the food budget and the gas budget and the electricity budget, but apparently you're taking $100 for yourself and you're at Club Super Sex. We're going to put you in jail. Are you insane? It's not a crime. Not that I've ever been to a strip club. Not that I ever would go to a strip club. I'm just making my point. So, A, it's not a crime to go to a strip club. B, yeah, my wife is going to, well, she'll kill me, but let that go. My wife will be very upset. But if I'm taking $100 of my own money and I go to a strip, whatever, I don't care. I buy cigarettes, lotto tickets, whatever. I'm just saying, it's my business. And how I run my records in my home is my business. It's not the government's business. So they're like, falsifying records. It's his money. He paid out of his own personal account. Well, he paid it through the lawyer. Yeah, of course you pay it through the lawyer. No NDA ever in the world is not paid through a lawyer. Of course the lawyer you give the money to the lawyer, and then the lawyer pays off the person or signs off the NDA. And that's how it's done. What, you don't think Hollywood stars have lawyers? What, corporate America doesn't have lawyers? How many politicians have signed NDAs? And by the way, Trump paid with his own cash. In Congress, they have a slush fund, a secret slush fund, not of their money, our money, whereby dozens and dozens and dozens of members of Congress have signed all kinds of NDAs to prevent, so they don't, mistresses, lovers, affairs, and they're signing NDAs, hush money, with our money. Nothing happens to them. Now, all of you, please just sit back, okay? Just objectively. Jimmy Carter's funeral yesterday. There's Donald Trump with Melania. And apparently Trump was sitting right beside Obama. And apparently he even made Obama laugh once, and they had a conversation. Everybody's going on about what do they talk about. Honestly, I really don't care. The only thing I was hoping he'd say is, by the way, you're going to go to jail. Okay, that's the one thing I wish he had told him. But let that go. Look at the people that Trump was surrounded by. Just Bill Clinton. Right down to Pew. Bill Clinton. How many crimes did he commit? Hillary Rotten Clinton. The 33,000 emails? Obstruction of justice? Destruction of evidence? An unsecure server in her bathroom right beside the toilet? Where confidential classified information was sent? Benghazi? The Clinton Foundation? Pay to play? Where they were selling out our country, our uranium to the Russians for millions of dollars? Nothing. Joe Biden comes and delivers a speech. The man who sold us out to China, to Ukraine, who literally is the godfather of the Biden crime family, whose son is what convicted felon? His son is going to get away scot-free. Not even convicted felon, but no punishment. Nothing. We have him on tape, on video, snorting and dealing cocaine, sleeping with prostitutes, underage children on videotape. I'm not talking about Burisma and all the other crimes that he committed, okay? I'm talking about it's there on tape, for God's sake. Crime after crime after crime. Preemptive pardon. No, everything he did, anything he did, completely pardoned, no problem. Now, the only honest... Obama, do I need to go on about his crimes? The only honest guy. The only honest man, outside of his wife, obviously, Melania, is him. He's surrounded by criminals. And they're all getting away scot-free. And he's the only guy. Today, at 9:30. Can you imagine being him? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Me. You gotta be kidding me. I'm the convicted felon? I'm the guilty one? I'm the bad guy? No. I'm sorry, not in Jeff Kuhner's America. I'm sorry, no. The answer is no. So I hope Trump overturns this on appeal, fights this tooth and nail, but I'm telling you right now, and I hope his people, in fact, I know his people are listening, you got to go jihad, my friend. You got to wage a political jihad. You know, I hope you were telling Obama yesterday, get ready, because I got a nice padded cell for you. Go after Biden, go after Bill Clinton, go after Hillary Clinton, go after Obama, go after all of them. And let me just say one other thing. Just on this one thing alone, Trump is sitting right next to Obama. Who framed Trump as an agent of Russia? The derelitter. Who illegally spied on Trump and his campaign? The derelitter. Who illegally spied on Trump while he was president of the United States? Who illegally ordered his FBI and his CIA to continue to surveil and spy on Trump after he was sworn in? The derelitter. And he's not in jail? Do you know how many laws that breaks? Do you know how freaking illegal that is? That is the act of a dictator, of a repressive dictator. We literally impose sanctions on countries who do this. What our government did to Trump, we literally impose sanctions on countries saying you are violating democracy and human rights. And they sit there and they're shedding crocodile tears for Jimmy Carter? And Trump is the guy who, it was yesterday, so 2 days from yesterday, is saying, you know, pretty much at this time, I'm the bad guy. I'm the convicted felon. It's beyond obscene. It's beyond wrong. It's beyond obscene. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Mike, where to next? Tom in the great state, and I love South Carolina. Tom in South Carolina, thanks for holding, and welcome.
You're welcome, Jeff. Thank you. Fight, fight, fight. Trump is going to build this country back 4 years from now. You know, it's just going to be history, and we're going to be looking at how great we are. Disaster recovery. We're going to pull out of this. We're pulling from the wreckage of the Democratic Socialist Party. We are going to be great again. America shall return to its greatness.
Tom, look, I want my president to always be presidential. He's not just the head of government, he's the head of state. So please don't misunderstand me. But there's a part of me, when he's sentenced today, it's going to be virtual. So he's going to see, you know, Juan Merchan. Juan Merchan's going to see Trump, but through a screen. When Merchan, within 2 minutes, says, you're a convicted felon, unconditional discharge, best of luck, have a nice life, Mr. President. There's a part of me that says, give him the middle finger. That Trump should just say, you know what? Here, kiss it. Should Trump do that?
No, he needs to maintain a level of professionalism. And, yes, I'm disgusted as well by the Supreme Court and what's happening. Just keep his chin up, and, we love him and we'll support him, and, we'll keep on keeping on.
We're going to get over this. I agree with you, Tom. I agree with you. And look, I'm going to go back to I know we talked about it 4 hours yesterday, but I am going to go back to the California wildfires. What you're seeing in California is the death. Liberalism is being burnt to the ground. Best audience in the business. I know. Jeff, you're like a tape. You just keep, it's truth. I don't know what else to tell you. Listen to this. You can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 617. Either a brother or a sister from another mother. Okay? 617. Could not have said it better myself. Jeff, what they are now doing to President Trump is a teaching moment for Trump and for his incoming Attorney General, Pam Bondi. The lesson: the Democrats will never, ever be persuaded by reason, ethics, decency, or law. Like their counterparts, the Islamists, the only thing they understand, respect, or respond to is power. Show them some. The remedy: go after all of the scum, lawfare warriors who have persecuted not only President Trump, but all who have been subjected to it, like Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, Rudy Giuliani, and all the J6ers. Use the law as the Democrats have with Old Testament vengeance. Start with Andrew Weissman and keep going all the way to Barry Obama. Bankrupt them with $1,000 an hour lawyer bills. Subject them to what they subjected you. An eye for an eye, a dollar for a dollar. President Trump, I hope you're listening, because it's time to go on offense. 617-266-6868. This is a teachable moment. They don't respond to reason, to ethics, to decency, or to the law. They only respect one thing: power. So when you're sitting there and listening to this wacko hack, this corrupt weasel of a judge, say you're a convicted felon, you just think in your mind, 10 days from now, I run the Justice Department, I run the FBI, and we're going to clean house. Vengeance is coming. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. It's time for real justice. And it's time for these lawfare scumbags to finally be held responsible and held accountable. And one of the things Trump should do immediately is push for Juan Merchan to be disbarred. Because I've never seen a judge. This is a rogue judge who is out of control and drunk on power. And it's time somebody put him in his place. Agree, disagree. Let's go to, who am I going to go to, Mike? Dave in Easton. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Dave.
I have some thoughts that I wanted to share and just see what you think. I think maybe first of all, I think this is kind of a good thing in a way, and I also think it's possible that Trump is doing exactly what he wants to do, because we can't just let the past years go away. If he doesn't appeal it and he did win, it all just gets swept away and it gets forgotten about, just like COVID. No one remembers, no one cares, and they're gonna, if Trump does anything to anyone, they go, oh, this is vengeance, this is revenge, and What this does is it keeps the door open, and he's not. This isn't revenge now. He's just protecting himself. But now I get to talk about everything. There's no gag orders. It all comes out now. And then once he starts to win, which he will, and everyone knows it, then he can say, well, look what they did over here, and look what they did over here. These people are rotten. So basically, he wins for many years. So I kind of think this is a smart play by Trump. And I think what you're starting to see already by the anger, and obviously he's pissed off, but I think what you're starting to see already is the performance that there's going to be. There's going to be a performance by Trump, and he's a master at this, and he's going to come out doing what he does and just making them stab themselves with their own swords, and that's it.
Well, look, Greg, it's a very interesting perspective. I didn't quite look at it that way. It said, look, he's been roasting Merchan, as he should, and he's going to roast him after the sentencing at 9:30. And it's going to be quick, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. That thing is going to be over quick. And Trump is probably either going to go in front of the cameras at Mar-a-Lago, or he's going to go on Truth Social, and he's going to blast him. I mean, he's going to rip him to pieces. He's got to go on the counteroffensive. I think this gives him an opportunity now, as you put it, to say, okay, you guys, you pushed me into a corner. I didn't ask for this. So let's open up everything. And I think the opportunity here is this. You want to sentence a former president on nothing. And according to the judge, we have his own statement, it's an unconditional discharge, Greg. It's such a low crime that it doesn't even deserve a punishment. I mean, that's how pathetic this is. So you're going to go after me on something so trivial, nothing. Fine. Former presidents are now fair game. You know, what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. So Biden is now a former president. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, former president, former Secretary of State. Obama, former president. So don't tell me now that former presidents are off limits. So if he wants, this could be the irony of this is they may have overplayed their hand again. And this gives Trump the golden opportunity to launch a devastating counteroffensive that could wipe them all out. So I know the left are going to be popping champagne corks all this morning, but I wouldn't get too drunk if I were them, because this could come back to bite them. But it's up to Trump. My advice, that's why I read that brilliant text. This has got to be Old Testament. This has got to be show them power, show them your teeth. Okay, in about 2 hours, President Trump, virtually, he will not be in a New York courtroom today, but he will have to face sentencing. The Supreme Court last night, in a 5-4 decision, all three liberals, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, joined by Chief Justice John Roberts and the stunner, Amy Coney Barrett. 5-4. The other 4 conservatives voted in favor of Trump. Those 5 voted against Trump, saying they refused to block the sentencing today of really that disgusting judge, Democrat Juan Merchan. So Juan Merchan has now said Trump will not face any jail time. In fact, no punishment at all. Nothing. Literally nothing. Not even, as I said, a $2 fine. However, he will be forced to be sentenced, and he will be labeled a convicted felon. And that is the entire point of the proceeding today. And so, 10 days, by the way, before he's to be sworn in. So it's the last middle finger before Trump, by Biden's Department of Justice and by his henchmen, and make no mistake about it, Merchan is a henchman of Joey before Trump is officially sworn in. Does this damage Trump? Does it undermine or hurt his authority? Trump says it does. That's why he's livid. That's why he tried to appeal this before the Supreme Court. Do you agree with Trump? Do you think this will taint him and hurt him? And are you personally infuriated by this? He's the only man who will be a convicted felon before he becomes president of the United States. Obama is not a convicted felon. Biden is not a convicted felon. Even Nixon was not a convicted felon. Clinton was not a convicted felon. In other words, people with clear crimes that they committed were not convicted felons, but only Trump. And in the end, over what? Over what? A supposed hush money payoff to a porn star that took place, according to her, in 2006. Not even a one-night stand. It was a 2-hour afternoon stand. Consensual, according to her. And she got $130,000, an NDA. And for this, Trump now will go down in history, unless it's overturned later, go down in history as the only president to be a convicted felon. I don't know about you, but that gets me hot under the collar. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mike, who's next? Bill in Braintree. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hey, I'm actually in Brighton. You got me?
I hear you, Bill. Go ahead. Bill in Brighton. Go ahead, Bill.
Just to be clear, I'm a huge Trump supporter. I'm wearing one of his buttons right now.
Okay.
But I'm really glad that the Supreme Court ruled in the decision that they did, because Trump made a big mistake on Wednesday to speak to Alito about anything, and it gave the appearance of impropriety. And I think it had things gone Trump's way last night with the Supreme Court, even though Alito did vote to get rid of it, I think it would have been him right in the behind that he spoke to Alito the day before. And I think in the end, this will all play out in his favor in an appeal. And every time, Trump has been Teflon Don for the longest time, and it's going to continue here. So I'm support of the decision based upon Donald Trump's bad decision to speak to Alito on Wednesday.
Well, look, a lot of people feel like you do. There's no question. According to Alito, and I believe him, he had a chief of staff that worked for him. He had an aide that worked for him for a very long time, who now has applied for a position in the Trump administration in a key chief of staff role for one of the top agencies. And so he needed a reference from Alito. And so Trump wants to hire him. It's going to be a very important position. And he needed a personal reference from Alito. That's why he made the call to Alito. So it's not as if they discussed the case or they discussed any Supreme Court cases prior or future. It was literally about this former top aide of mine has applied for a job in your incoming administration. It's a senior position. You're the only one that's going to approve it. And I'm the person that's going to be the reference. So, I mean, I have to ask, in all honesty, what was Trump supposed to do? I mean, he's got to staff his administration. He's going to have to give Alito a call eventually to, for a reference. So, I mean, should he just not have called Alito?
After the decision.
Oh, you're saying he should have waited until after Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. Well, now that issue's moot because the Supreme Court ruled against him.
That's why I'm glad.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I just look. I'll be honest. Now he's going to take it to the bank, and I hear where you're coming from. The left is going to go to town now on Trump. I know he's Teflon Don, as far as as you put it, but man, oh man, they're going to make a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, this is all you're going to hear about now for the next 10 days. It's going to be convicted felon, convicted felon, convicted felon. And I got to tell you, I think it doesn't bode well for Trump. He needed this like he needed a hole in the head. And, I'm with the 4 conservative justices. This is clear election interference. This is clear lawfare. This sentence is such a joke that it should be overturned and discarded on the spot. But now, it's water under the bridge. Thank you very much for that call. I appreciate it. 617-266-6868. Okay, who do you want me to go to next? Maggie in Amesbury. Thanks for holding, Maggie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Maggie.
Jeff, I agree the whole thing is ridiculous and always has been. But where I think a little differently than you is I don't think that I personally am outraged. At this point, all I want to see is success from President Trump. I think that he needs to let this fall off his back as he does with so many things, put his nose to the grind and just fix this country. It so badly needs it. And there's a part of me, yes, would I love to see vengeance, but at the same time, his success is going to be his success, his ability to really turn this country around. And we are just, Trump supporters are just waiting for when he takes over. I think that the left, if there's anyone left on the left after all these fires and everything else, those few people will always hate Trump, and they will use this to, yes, maybe lord it over other people. But in my opinion, who cares? I'm pointing to his successes. The people have already spoken. This isn't going to bother us. We just want to bask in the success that he's going to bring to the table, and I'm so looking forward to it. I hope he's able to put this behind him and move forward, and I'm sure he will.
Oh, he will. There's no question. Maggie, I have no doubt about that. To me, that's 1,000%. You can take it to the bank. No, this is, Maggie, look, and I hear you. Look, his success will be our revenge, as he famously said, and I agree with that. And we need him. Oh, my God. I wish he was sworn in months ago. Okay, months ago. Especially now with Southern California burning to the ground. My God, do we need him. But Maggie, look, this is the part that I think it sets a very ominous precedent. This is what Trump foresees. And I'm going to get his statement and I want to read exactly what he said, but I'm just going to paraphrase it. He said, this sentencing is going to do irreparable damage to the institution of the presidency. See, he's thinking like three-dimensional chess. He's not just saying it's going to hurt me. He's saying, I'm telling you, it's going to hurt the country. And it's going to hurt the country and the presidency down the road. And why? Because I'll sum it up in a nutshell. And you tell me if you agree or disagree, Maggie. This overturns the will of the people, at least temporarily. What Judge Merchan is saying is that it doesn't matter that the American people voted in a clear majority, decisively, popular vote, electoral college, every swing state, no matter how you look at it. And they said, this lawfare, I got to be careful, is bull, you know what? It's horse crap. It's garbage. It's Bravo Sierra. It's BS. And he's basically saying, no, I know more than the American people. And the will of the American people I will not respect. Because I, as a judge, essentially a fascist in a black robe, I am superior to democracy. I am superior to the will of the people. My opinion overrides the will of the people. Now, if they can do this to an innocent man like Trump, what can they do to others? That's what Trump is saying. That a judge is saying ultimately he's more powerful than the president. He's more powerful than the voters and the American people. What say you?
I do agree with Trump there. However, I think this judge is a buffoon. And the one thing I would like to see Trump do is have that, that judge disbarred. I agree with him. I just don't want to see his energy spent on some of these things that the people, I think, no longer care about. We are.
Oh, I agree. No, Maggie, look, I agree. You and I on this are one, complete agreement. I just feel sorry for the guy. I'll be honest with you. I do. I really do. And I don't blame him. He's very upset. He won't admit it because his pride, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, because he's got every right to be very proud, but his pride won't allow him to admit it. But you can tell it hurts him. Deep down, it bothers him. It would bother me. It would bother any sane, normal, innocent person. If you're innocent and you've just won this great historic victory, really the greatest political comeback in American history, arguably maybe even in world history, certainly one of the greatest comebacks in world history, And you're 10 days away now from being sworn in. And now this judge, this loser, hack, buffoon of a judge, who is up to his eyeballs in a conflict of interest with his daughter, who was pimping out, fundraising, saying, my daddy's going to get Trump, my daddy's going to get Trump. I mean, you don't get more sleazy or corrupt than this. And he's going to go down now as a convicted felon. And it's for such a trivial, ridiculous non-crime that even the judge, the corrupt weasel judge himself, okay, that POS, forgive me, but somebody's got to call him a POS, says, I can't even I can't even sentence you to a second in jail. I can't even fine you a cent, because that's how trivial all this is. So, no punishment at all, but just convicted felon. And so, if it's not overturned, in the eyes of history, Donald Trump will be the first and so far the only president of the United States who is a convicted felon. I mean, if I'm the Trumpster, really, if I'm Donald Trump, that's got to hurt. I mean, he's going to be fuming, and I don't blame him. You know, after all the crimes committed by everybody else, me, the only honest one, the guy that's been the victim for God knows a decade now of malicious prosecution, lawfare, persecution, spying, impeachments, assassination attempts. The FBI raids his home, guns blazing, threatening to kill him and his wife and his children. They want to remove him from the ballot. They want to bankrupt his entire business. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Me. And he's looking around the room, and I'm the bad guy. Over something so meaningless that even you can't punish me anything on this. You can't even say probation, because there's not probation over what? Over what? A non-disclosure agreement with my own money? To a washed-up porn star over a 2-hour sexual tryst alleged in 2006. And I'm the bad guy now. Honest. Look, I asked someone earlier, if you were Trump, would you give the judge the middle finger after he issues the sentence? He said, no, you got to be presidential, you got to be professional. And I think Tom was ultimately in South Carolina right. He's a bigger man than me. Because I sometimes, you know my temper. I'd blank you. That's really here it is. Hey, Judge, kiss it right here. Here's what I think of you. You know. But anyway, Trump will not do that, I'm sure. I mean, he'll give it to him with both barrels, probably at a big press conference or on Truth Social. But he'll be presidential. He'll have a proper decorum. But really, somebody's got to tell this judge to blank off. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Maestro Mike, where do I go to next? Tom on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, first-time caller, long-time listener.
Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. So these guys, they have a great game plan. They stick to their game plan. And I think what's going to happen this week, we're going to see the mainstream media just run away with this. Every talking point, how they've always had their talking points, and they just stick together. They're tough to compete against. They just stick together. So my big point is they're 3 steps ahead of us all the time. So it's like playing against a hockey player who's three stages ahead of you. So their next move, what's coming up next big for Trump? He's got to get his confirmation appointments in there. Every single talking point by the Democrats are now going to throw this on their speech about his appointments that they don't want. And it's just going to go from there. It's going to spiral down to when they're talking about laws and implementing other stuff. It's just going to continue and continue. And they stick together. Well, I guess, my big point is the confirmations, and they're going to try to make him look bad because he's a convicted felon and all this, and they're going to
nailed it, Tom. You're a genius. I'm telling you. I don't know if you ever measured your IQ, but Tom. I guarantee you're above 140. You're an absolute genius, and I love Tom. Don't get me wrong. I only have eyes for my wife. You know that. But I love you in a non-sexual way, my friend. And I'll tell you why. Because you just hit the nail right on the head. They're going to use this, and that's why Merchan is doing it. That's why this whole dog and pony show, all of this lawfare is culminating today, and that was the point of it. It's their ultimate insurance policy. This is what Trump understands. This is why he's banging the table behind the scenes. This is why he's so angry and frustrated, because he can see into the future the way you can see into the future, Tom. And he's saying, what are they going to do with this? I'll tell you guys what they're going to do with this. Every appointment I make is illegitimate. Everything my Justice Department does is illegitimate. Everything I do, every confirmation, anytime I try to propose anything, well, he's a convicted felon. He's a criminal. He's a convicted felon. No, we're not going to accept what's going on from the Justice Department of a convicted felon. We're not going to accept now Akash Patel to lead the FBI from a convicted felon. We're not going to stand there and accept Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head Health and Human Services. What? Take the word of a convicted felon? They're going to use it like a baseball bat, like a stick, to beat him with and beat him with and beat him with. Now, it's not that he's not going to get his way. He's going to get his way because he's got a Republican Senate and a thin Republican majority in the House. But my point is, now, you see, it's like they're digging trenches to try to prevent Trump from advancing and moving forward. And this is their ultimate trench. So they're going to use this. This is why Trump keeps saying, he goes, what do you think is going to happen? The media, my enemies, are going to use this to undermine me at every turn. Every decision I make, every time now, I try to go after the people that need to go to jail, the deep state, people that were involved in the COVID lockdowns, Fauci. I could run down to Andrew McCabe on the FBI side, James Comey, all of these criminals. They're going to say he's a convicted felon. It's revenge. Everything is revenge because he's a convicted felon. So you're right. See, this is what our side, I find, never quite, they never quite understand this. The Democrats are relentless. They're relentless. As Newt Gingrich famously said, they play smash mouth football. We play badminton. And Trump is the only guy that plays smash mouth football. He really does. He's tough. He's crude. At times he's coarse. He's loud. He's rambunctious. He's combative. He's, at times even he swears. But he gets the job done. That's why they find him so threatening. They've never faced the guy prior to Reagan. Okay, Reagan also fought hard. But outside of Reagan, since Reagan, they've never faced a guy like him who, he's a former Democrat. He fights like a Democrat. He's a nationalist and a patriot and a populist who fights like a Democrat. That's why they are petrified of him. And look, they're going to use this. And that's why I'm urging Trump, get your lawyers on this immediately. And you rush this to the Supreme Court again, and this time tell them to rule on the merits and get this thing overturned. Because they're not going to let him live it down. Final word to you, Tom.
I think the people are just smartening up. Like they have so many resources at their hands, and they're catching up with the Democrats. They're calling them out for being the liars that they are.
Tom, thank you very much for that call. Really good call. Okay, 8 o'clock Friday. You know what that means. Caller of the week, Kuhner's Call Log.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Barbara.
It's really sad what's happening in California. It's a sad thing to see. I felt really bad looking at those people's homes and seeing the anguish, and some of them seemed so close to the fire that it was just unbelievable to me. But it's gross incompetence. Gavin Newsom should have been recalled. And the people of California have only themselves to blame. Larry Elder ran against him. They could have had good conservatives running their state, but they voted for the incompetence. And when I saw that police chief on her interview, her priorities were all wrong. It really is sad to me that someone in her position, all of them in the position of authority, are looking at everything except capability. It's a disservice to citizens for them to use DEI, and you correctly said it, DEI is really to DIE. You're going to die for DEI because these people are incompetent. A lot of them have jobs that they shouldn't have, and they're training. And I looked at that room full of people that they had in this training room. Look at how fat they were. Some of them all out of shape. They're not prepared to go fight a fire.
But the good news is I'm a great-grandfather as of today. I was granddaughter. 10-pound, 4-ounce baby girl, a baby boy. So I can remember this day for a lot of wrong reasons.
Be here every weekday on the Kuhner Report between 6 and 10 a.m. And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Barbara is one of our best callers. Congratulations, Barbara. Dynamite call, and just keep on calling. And again, to Kuhner Country, thank you for all of your outpouring of sympathy and support over the passing away of my dad. And I've said this to upper management many times, and I'm going to say it again to all of you. The callers, the audience, the listeners, you're what makes this show very special. And so, again, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, literally right on cue. You couldn't make this up. So we had Tom on the South Shore saying, oh, they're going to use this to, batter Trump and bludgeon Trump, and the media is going to use it to attack Trump. And boom, right as we were playing the clip of Barbara's call, my phone blew up with all of these news stories. One, like on cue, I guess it was the 8 o'clock news feed, and CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Boston Globe, Washington Post, one after another. Trump to be sentenced today, will be a convicted felon, first president in history to be a convicted felon right away. Experts say it tarnishes his legacy. Experts say it will taint his presidency. I mean, already. So they're going to pivot off the wildfires in California. And you watch now for the next, 3, 4, 5 hours. It's going to be saturation coverage, and you're going to see it across every screen. Trump, convicted felon. That's what this has been all about now for the last couple of years. So my question to you, double-barreled, how do you feel about it? Are you as upset about it as I am? Does it bother you that the poor man is being unjustly branded as a felon when he's the only innocent man probably in all of Washington, with a few exceptions, obviously? And, in that corrupt swamp, this guy, he's the guy that ends up becoming a convicted felon? Even Hunter's not even a convicted felon. I like that, Sandy. Sandy, I like that for the poll question. So we're going to get the fresh poll question out. And then, secondly, do you believe Trump is correct that this will ultimately damage his authority and hurt his ability to act effectively as president, and in particular, do long-term damage to the institution of the presidency? Because here you have a judge, an out-of-control, rogue, corrupt judge, who has thumbed his nose at the will of the American people. The American people said loud and clear on November 5th, all of these lawfare cases are garbage. Our verdict is not guilty. And this judge is saying, my will trumps the will of the American people, the will of the American voters, the will, and in fact, over the Constitution itself. I am more powerful and bigger than the President of the United States. But this crime is so low and so meaningless and so trivial, and I'm using crime in quotation marks. What's the crime? Again, there's no crime. That I'm going to give an unconditional discharge. He won't be punished. He won't go to jail. He won't be fined. Nothing. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. 617-266-6868. Lines are on fire. Mike, where do you want me to go to next? Mags in New Hampshire. Mags, Happy New Year. All the best to you and your family, Mags.
As always, Happy New Year, and I'm so sorry about the loss of your dad.
Thank you.
My condolences to your whole family, Grace and the kids. It's a tough loss, and I know that. The thing I wanted to say this morning, Jeff, is that I am on your side. I am really peeved off. I think this is disgusting, and I think this judge should have been dismissed. I'm honestly wondering what's going to happen to the Supreme Court because there's so much corruption in it. We need to make changes. I think it will hurt Trump only because he's going to have to hear it constantly over and over again. But as far as his accomplishments, it won't affect anything. He has the whole country behind him. We have spoken, and we know what we want, and we will take care of him. We will watch out for him. We are his strength behind him. He will accomplish everything that we want him to accomplish. And hopefully, Jeff, that little smirk that was on Obama's face yesterday was after Trump told him, I'll be seeing you to jail, buddy, for everything that you've done to my people. I feel bad for Trump because I know this is hurting him and hurting his heart really bad. But he has to know that when we all spoke and he won the election, that was huge, Jeff. And that was a lot to do with you and a lot of the people from Kuhner Country.
Thank you.
I mean
Kuhner Country was pivotal. Kuhner, I'm telling you, I know this. Look, Trump's people told me Kuhner Country was pivotal. Pivotal, absolutely pivotal. Mags, just to reinforce your point, and I'd love to get your take on this. While I was in Canada, okay, my whole time spent there, yes, I was burying my dad, a wake, a funeral, it was very emotional. But I got a chance to meet some old friends, family members, and just talk to people on the street. And just get a sense, a lay of the land. Even here in Canada, and by the way, they hate Justin Trudeau. I know he's resigned, but I mean they hate him. Oh my God. You think we hated Joe Biden? Holy mackerel. Do they hate Justin Trudeau? Even in Canada, I can't tell you how many people, you go to a restaurant, they find out, I'm an American, I live in America, my wife and my kids, and right away they tell me, go Trump, go. They don't even know my politics. And they're pumping their fists. And I'll say, well, why? I mean, why are you so supportive of Trump? And this is Canada. And they're saying, because Trump will make America great again. He will fix America's problems. And a strong, prosperous America will help Canada become strong and prosperous. And by the way, the looks like the next prime minister is going to be a conservative. His name is Pierre Poilievre. And a lot of his policies are based off of Trump's policies. In fact, Mags, listen to this. You know what his slogan is? Put Canada first. I swear to you. So the Canadian Conservatives, who are leading by over 20 points, they're going to, if the election was held today, the Conservatives would wipe out the governing Liberals, and you would see a massive Conservative majority in Parliament. But many of his policies are copycatted from Trump. And he's saying, yeah, we're going to put Canada and Canadians first. So that's the influence of Trump. And it's not just in Canada. You're going to feel it in Britain. You're feeling it in France. They already have basically a female version of Trump in Italy. You're going to see it all over Europe, all over the world. Final word to you, Mags.
Jeff, I believe this is the best thing that's going to happen to our country, Trump leading our country. and the best thing for the world. We need to get rid of all these criminals, and they need to be prosecuted. Trump, you need to prosecute them, just like you said that you would. The Clintons, the Obamas, all of them, and, of course, Joe Biden for everything he's done for the last 4 years, which is so criminal, it's disgusting. I say, God bless you, Trump. You're not don't worry about Judge Merchan, because we don't. We love you, Jeff, just like we love you, non-sexual way. And God bless America, because I think we're going places. And I can't wait for the next 4 years, because we're going to have a nice ride ahead of us. And when I call in, it's just going to be happy, happy, joy, joy all the time. What do you think,
Amen.
Jeff?
Oh, amen, sister. Amen. Hallelujah. Mags, thank you very much for that call. Well, and look, I think that's the promise of Trump's presidency. And it's 10 days now. You're saying you can't wait for the next 4 years? Forget 4 years. I can't wait for January 20th. I'm like, today, 10 more days. Come on, let's go. Let's speed up that clock. Come on, let's go. And I'll tell you who else. The poor people in Southern California. They can't wait for Trump. And that's what I'm sensing now. There's a sea change. Even in deep, deep blue California. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, many of you are texting the Kuhner man, 70470, saying, Jeff, why can't Trump just pardon himself? Well, that's a very good question. And the reason is because it's a state crime. A president can pardon any federal crime, but a president has no jurisdiction or authority to pardon a state crime. And so this conviction in Manhattan was by Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan district attorney, and it was a quote-unquote, I'm putting this in air quotes, for state crimes. So that's why Trump is not able to pardon himself. I wish he could, but in this case he can't. I want to read this from Eric on Messenger, because really, I think, couldn't have said it better myself. I think this sums it up beautifully. Jeff, today, figuratively, we will witness the hanging of an innocent man. His only crime was that he stood up against a tyrant regime that abused its people. Today is proof of a leader who is willing to take the sword many times over to his back so his people can rise up against tyranny. Like Joe Warren, who ran down Bunker Hill to face death so people can fight another day, Trump will be victorious in the eyes of the people. Bingo. Absolutely bingo. And that's why I think he's going to persevere. In fact, I think the left has now made a fundamental strategic mistake again. Trump derangement syndrome is going to hurt them one more time. They've overplayed their hand again, like on January 6th, like on so many other issues. He is now going to go on the counteroffensive. And now he can rightly say, former presidents are now fair game. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family, Obama, the Clintons, it's all fair game. Remember the old saying, be careful what you wish for, you just may get it. So they may crow for a couple of hours today, but when Trump is sworn in 10 days, my friends, then the whip is going to be on the other hand. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Frank in Gloucester. Frank, I want to wish you and your family a happy new year and welcome.
Yes. Hey, Jeff. Today, Donald Trump is going to be convicted. Is going to be a convicted felon. And thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, baby, you can't see me, Jeff, but I'm pumping my fist in the air, and you and your audience are going apoplectic. What say you?
Well, I don't think I've been going apoplectic. I'm decrying an injustice. I mean, it's, nothing wrong with decrying an injustice. But I want to ask you, Frank, because Alvin Bragg can't answer this question. Judge Merchant can't answer this question. And in fact, no lawyer or legal expert can answer this question. So if you can answer it, please inform and educate and enlighten us, Frank. What is the underlying crime that Trump is going to be found guilty of and convicted for today? What's the underlying crime, Frank, that you're pumping your fists about? What is it that he did that is so upsetting to you? Just what's the underlying crime?
Thank you, Jesus.
No, I know. You keep saying thank you. I get it. By the way, I don't even think you're religious, but let that go. But anyway, thank you, Jesus. Fine, thank Jesus. So then tell Jesus, what's the underlying crime that Trump is being found guilty of and is a convicted felon over? Could you explain to us what it is, Frank?
The jury can explain that. Ask one of the jurists, but thank you, Jesus.
No, the jury, no. The jury can't explain it. The jury can't explain it. They found him guilty of so-called falsifying business records, which is a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. So, in furtherance of another crime, that's the key. But Alvin Bragg never, ever, ever defined what the underlying crime is. That's why it's going to get overturned on appeal. That's the big reason, among others. So, Alvin Bragg can't tell us what the underlying crime was. The judge can't tell us what the underlying crime was. You're so happy that Trump is going to jail. So what did he do that was so wrong, Frank, that you're so happy? What was his underlying crime? Who did he hurt? Who was the victim here, Frank? Tell me.
I'll say again, Jeff. Ask the jury. Call the jury. Call Alvin Bragg. Call them people. You're the one that's saying he didn't do nothing wrong. Call up the people that convicted him.
I understand, but they haven't. Frank, they haven't said the reason why. I keep telling you that, so I'm asking you. Tell me the reason why. You're so happy, so why are you happy? What did he do that was so wrong? Tell me, Frank.
Yeah, I'm not telling you what he's done so wrong. All I'm saying is thank you.
So you don't know.
And you call the guy. You go find
I called the guy. Hold on, but okay, so let me ask you then. Why are you so happy? What did he do wrong? Tell me, Frank. What's the? See, even you don't know. 617-266-6868 is the number. Arthur in Chestnut Hill. Arthur, I envy you because you're coming on right after Frank in Gloucester. So literally, no matter what you say now, you're going to sound like an absolute genius. So I just want you to know, Arthur, no matter what you say, I mean, you're going to be the smartest guy in the room. Arthur, Happy New Year, my friend, and welcome.
Well, to begin with, so sorry for your loss, but he's at peace now, and he's in a better place than we are.
Thank you. Thank you, Arthur.
And that guy Frank would give an aspirin a headache.
Arthur, what do you make of this sentencing that's going to happen in about an hour?
I've been discussed. You know what? Judge Roberts strikes again. I mean, he really hates Trump, and the Supreme Court disgusts me because don't we have any place in this country where we can get justice anymore, where wrongs can be righted? Does that exist anymore in this country? Every day I'm sickened by what I watch. When I see the alleged mayor of L.A. doing what she did, and the governor of California, the devastation and that they caused this country, the death and the misery that they've caused this country, it just you can't feel good about anything anymore. You're not safe anywhere. Everything is the cost is tripled. You get judges like this Marchant and that other clown that presided over the $500 million or whatever that judgment was. You know what? if you have an accident case and you lose a limb, you're lucky if you get $100,000, and they handed out millions like there's no tomorrow. These people are out of control. And where do we go to do something about it? How is it that there is no place that these people can't be put under control? They're the ones that should be prosecuted. This is not this is supposed to be a yes.
I mean, Arthur, you're dead on, as usual. You're dead on. I got to ask you, though, Trump is insistent that this is going to undermine his authority. He thinks it will hurt him. Not that he can't get the job done, not that he won't be effective, nothing. But he's just saying, look, this is a blow to the presidency and to the institution of the presidency. And in the long run, if we don't overturn this conviction, what the precedent they're now establishing, Arthur, is this corrupt, hack, loser of a nobody of a judge can overturn the will of the people, is more important and has more power than the president, and can literally convict someone of a crime where they did nothing wrong. Is Trump wrong when he says this?
In a sense, yes, because here's a guy who was the president, will be the president, and if they can do this to him, they can do it to anybody. And look what they've done to Giuliani. You know, one of the great leaders and heroes of America. Look what they've done to him. These despicable judges. You know, we don't play the game right. You know, you notice whenever they appoint judges or justices to the Supreme Court, the left, they always appoint radical, far left justices. Well, that's what we ought to do. Never mind the list of, this guy's got, he seems like he's going to follow the law. The hell would follow the law? Do they follow the law? Well, we shouldn't either. You know, there's an old saying, you play the hand the way the cards are dealt. From now on, when we appoint a chief justice, we should appoint far-right conservative judges that it's not even going to be close. Because we're not getting why they could turn around and not vote for Trump and see the justice be done in his favor. Somebody should have stepped in and intervened a long time ago. You know, the Bar Association or someplace there has to be a judicial misconduct that has to be reined in.
Arthur, I got to tell you, at moments that now this call now, I thought my dad just came back from the grave. Really, I got to say that. You sounded like my father. Really, fight fire with fire. He'd always say that. Take the gloves off. Arthur, have a happy new year again. God bless you. And please, Arthur, don't be a stranger. Keep calling. 617-266-6868 is the number. What do you say? Is Arthur right? Are you disappointed in Roberts? Are you disappointed in Amy Coney Barrett? Are you tired of always being disappointed by the Supreme Court? Is Arthur dead on? You know what? Why don't we start putting in some serious right-wing conservative judges on the high court? In other words, if the left does it, why don't we do it? 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Mike, who do you want me to go to next, my friend? Gina in West Roxbury. Thanks for holding, Gina, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. It's Dr. Gina, the psychologist. Haven't been in touch with
Dr.
you for a long time.
Now, hold on. How come Dr. Gina, how come they didn't put Dr. Gina on the board?
I didn't. I just said my name, Gina.
Okay, please, in the future, when you call, you're Dr. Gina, you're our resident psychiatrist. So you have to come on the air as Dr. Gina.
Doesn't get me anywhere, so I'm glad I got through finally. I'm so sorry about your father. I really am.
Thank you, Dr. Gina.
And I do want to say I am disgusted with the Democrats, the communists, the rhinos, and the limp-wristed, no-spined Supreme Court justices. I'm disgusted. And I think that I agree with the previous caller. Trump has to pull out all the guns, let his Justice Department and the FBI investigate and prosecute the crimes of the people that have been after him for all these years. I disagree with those that say he has to turn the other cheek, act professional, and just let his successes be the arbiter of everything from henceforth, because the left is never going to give up. They will continue. They're already starting. And you got the likes of Schiff and the Schumer, Pelosi, heavens, they're not going to stop. So I think Trump could at least give them something to busy themselves with other than attacking him. Let them pay out of their own coffers for their own crimes. Let them be subjected to it. Give their staff something else to do other than making a living going after Trump. It's ridiculous.
I agree. Dr. Gina, I agree with you, not 100%, but 1,000%. And just to add quickly to what you're saying, it's not just for justice, and I agree with you. To restore justice, he's got to start. His DOJ and FBI have to start prosecuting these people. But to me, it's something even bigger than that. We've got to start imposing deterrence. They've got to be taught a lesson, or else they're just going to keep doing it over and over. They're not going to stop. They have to know that it comes with a tremendous price. It's not a question of vengeance. Why would they stop? They haven't paid the price. They haven't paid anything. So they're going to continue and continue and continue. It's like a bully. If a bully keeps beating you up and nothing happens to him, he's going to continue to bully. But when you punch him in the nose and punch him again and punch him again, the bully's going to stop. So the left has to realize that if they want to play lawfare, if they want to start targeting former presidents on nothing, if they want to start putting political opponents in jail, well, two can play at that game. And we're going to do it, A, for justice, but B, to establish deterrence. In other words, you do it, we do it. You do it, it's going to cost you. So do you really want to continue? And my bet is, Dr. Gina, because I know many moonbats and I know many liberals, deep down, they're all a bunch of cowards. You hit them, and you hit them hard, and they run for the hills. Agree, disagree? Final word to you, Dr. Gina.
From a behavioral psychologist's point of view, think of it as being a parent dealing with a tantruming child. If the parent does nothing and the kid tantrums and gets his or her way, or if the parent is ineffective in extinguishing the tantrum, the kid's going to do it again when he or she wants to do something or doesn't want to do something. The difference is the next time they tantrum, it's going to be at that higher level. They're not going to start out at the bottom and work their way up.
That's why you're our resident psychiatrist. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to continue to take a couple more calls. 9 o'clock, California burning. Unbelievable now. I know we talked about it extensively yesterday, but even more now has unfolded incredibly, tragically over the last 24 hours. But still, I mean, this is the issue right now. Trump, in about 40 minutes, will be sentenced by Judge Juan Merchan. It is guaranteed. He will be the first convicted felon to become president of the United States. However, he will also receive an unconditional discharge, which means no jail time, no incarceration, no fine, no probation, literally no punishment whatsoever. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mike, who do you want me to go to next? Dave in Vermont. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Bonjour.
Bonjour,
hey,
my friend.
I have to agree with you, man. You do have the best audience in the business. No doubt.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Hey, I saw 2 boomerangs thrown this week by the leftists. The first one just went out to California, and the 2 most expensive wildfires in the history of the country are due from negligence. That this country was just, that California was just promised 100% of the cost of restoration and everything for all equipment, houses, everything that's gone. But the people in the Southeast lost everything due from not negligence, but another situation that was just as destructive. And they're still holding the bag from FEMA. And the other boomerang that was just probably going to be thrown in a couple of minutes, that if this Pandora box gets opened, that that boomerang is going to probably come back and smack them in the head, because every Democrat and everything who has any kind of presidential hopeful is now going to go under the knife of vetting, and they better have really deep pockets, because they'll probably spend a lot of time in court before they ever get before a ballot box.
Bang, bang. Dave, on both points, really, I couldn't agree with you more. And I'll get to the second one. Let me go to first. Yeah, let me go to the first one first. Sorry, the second one first, and then I'll go to the first one. Look, they've now opened up, as you rightly put it, Pandora's box. And what they don't seem to grasp is that lawfare is a two-way street. And there were just certain unwritten rules, unwritten understandings in our society. You don't go after former presidents. You just don't. Why? To preserve the institution and integrity of the presidency itself. They crossed that Rubicon when they went after Trump. And again, I want to remind everybody, and it doesn't matter because these libs all have really Trump derangement syndrome. They're mentally ill. But to anybody else who's got any common sense, remember what the liberals have been saying about him now for 10 years. Remember, they said he was an agent of Russia. That's what they said. They said he was a traitor. They said it was treason. They said that he was economically enriching himself to the tune of hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, because he was secretly taking money from the Kremlin. Remember what they said. He was a dictator. He was going to impose concentration camps, death camps, ban political parties, shoot journalists, put his political opponents in jail. That's what they said about him over and over and over and over again. So when everything is said and done, what did they get him on? What is it? Everything they said he was guilty of, and I could go on and on. What did they get him on? Falsifying business records? Which, by the way, was from his own personal account? Literally, it was his own money? To what? Sign a non-disclosure agreement from a washed-up porn star over I'm just going by her story, over a consensual sexual tryst. It wasn't even a one-night stand. According to her, the whole thing lasted 2 hours. And I swear to you, and that included dinner. I'm not making this up. She said we had dinner, and then, we had a roll in the hay, and that's it. It was over. Starts at 4, ends at 6. Did she get her money? Yes. Did Trump rape her? No. Did he sexually assault her? No. So where's the crime? Literally, where's the crime? NDAs are legal. Affairs, even if you accept it, I don't believe he touched that. I got to be careful now. I don't believe he touched that washed up porn star. Okay, I got to take it easy. I don't want to, I don't want to get in trouble. But I don't think he touched that tramp, and that's what she is. She's a tramp. I don't think he touched her with a 10-foot pole for many reasons. If you know anything about Trump, he's a germaphobe. The last thing he wants is an STD. You're talking about a woman who's been, by her own admission, with at least 1,000 men. So, do I think he slept with her? No. But even if he did, just for the sake of argument, that's between him and his wife. So, if his wife forgave him, assuming it's true, which I don't think it is, what's the problem? It's not illegal to have an affair. It's not illegal to have a sexual tryst. It's not illegal to have an NDA. It's not illegal to pay someone $130,000 out of your own money. Where's the crime? Where's the victim? They can't name the victim because there is none. Now, if you're going to go after Trump on this garbage, and then parade him like they did in Eastern Europe under communism, and parade him as a dissenter, and say, this is what you get for opposing the regime. We're going to brand you as a convicted felon. Well, now you've opened up the mother of all Pandora's boxes. Because I'm telling you right now, Joe Biden is going to be in big trouble. And Obama is going to be in big trouble. And Bill Clinton and Hillary are going to be in big, big trouble. Now, the question is, does Trump want to go down that road and start going after We're not talking a tryst. We're not talking about falsifying a record. We're not talking about banging a porn star in 2018 years ago. I'm talking about pay to play. I'm talking about influence peddling. I'm talking about bribery. I'm talking about corruption. I'm talking about selling out the national interest in exchange for millions of dollars. Literally pure treason. I'm talking about illegally spying on a candidate. I'm talking about illegally spying on a president. I'm talking about obstruction of justice destroying information, classified information. 33,000 emails. And she destroys them, obstructing justice, stonewalling, and abuse of power. Comey himself said she committed crimes. He made this up. I just don't think a jury would convict. If a jury will convict Trump on this garbage, they would convict Hillary. No question. So, if they want to go down this road, let's go. The question now is, and that's why, frankly, I wanted Matt Gaetz, to be honest with you, as Attorney General. Why? Because Gaetz would go for it. I'm not saying Pam Bondi won't. She's excellent. She's strong. She's intelligent. She's MAGA. She's got a lot of fortitude, a lot of character. I'm just telling you, if Matt Gaetz was the incoming Attorney General, they would be running for the hills right now. So, if the Democrats want to play, let's play. And they're going to rue the day. Now, everybody needs to know this. The Senate Democrats have just released a video. When you have time, I urge all of you to see it. They're vowing to wage all-out war against Trump. You got to see. It turns your stomach. The guy hasn't even been sworn in yet. And they're saying, we're going to block him. We're going to obstruct him. We're going to impede him. We're going to stop him. Whether it's good for the country or not, we don't care. Our job is to blow his presidency sky high, to make him a failed president. Now, that's the attitude of the Democrats coming in. My advice to Trump is, when you're facing a mortal enemy, and that's what the Democrats are, they're a mortal enemy, you take the gloves off, man. You unleash the dogs of war. Political war, ideological war. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, I'd say, you know what? You go after every single guilty one of them. Every single one of them. And let them know, if they want to engage in lawfare, it's a double-edged sword. Dave, thank you very much for that call. Now, very quick. Okay, very, very quick. I promise I'm going to continue to take your calls. But what Dave, his first point was spot on. Joe Biden announced yesterday, this was an unbelievable announcement, that the federal government is going to pay not 80%, not 90%, but 100% of all of the damage caused by the wildfires. Everything. All the homes, all the property, all the shopping malls, all the businesses, everything. So, let me tell you what that means in plain English. You and I are on the hook. We, the taxpayers, are going to bail out California. Why should we bail out California? I'm not saying, fellow Americans, we don't help. We do. We do. And by the way, as Dave rightly pointed out, they're not bailing out the victims of Hurricane Helene. The feds aren't picking up 100% of the tab. North Carolina, the state's got to pick up a good chunk of that tab, and the feds take over the rest. Now, to me, the same principle should apply to California. Hey, fellow Americans, I'm willing to help. But whoa. The state government's got to pony up quite a bit as well. It's not just the feds now that have to pay. Why should you and I have to pay for all this? And Victor Davis Hanson is, to me, a national treasure. He really is. The best commentary I've heard about the wildfires in California has come from Victor Davis Hanson. And let me just repeat quickly what he said. You look at the way Gavin Newsom has mismanaged that state. You look at how utterly incompetent Karen Bass is. I mean, this is third world level. You're in Africa while your city is being burned to the ground, and now it's come out that she was even warned ahead of time that there's a possibility of massive, out-of-control wildfires and huge windstorms coming. This could be an absolute catastrophe. And she still flew to Africa, to Ghana. You cut the fire budget by nearly $20 million to the point that literally there's not enough fire trucks, not enough firefighters to combat these blazes. You give away vital equipment, firefighting equipment to Ukraine when you don't have enough for yourself? And Gavin Newsom does nothing about irrigation, nothing about getting all that fresh water up in Northern California, millions of gallons to Southern California, to the point that the fire hydrants are dry, the garden hoses are dry, no forest clearing, nothing, no forest management, no underbrush being cleared out, nothing, absolutely nothing. You are directly responsible for one of the greatest catastrophes that has ever befallen the state of California and, frankly, America. 10 people minimum are dead. 10,000 homes, 10,000 homes, churches, synagogues, schools, businesses, shopping malls. It's all being burned to the ground. Now, 100,000 evacuated and counting. 4 million people out of power. The state, the southern part of the state, is being burnt to ashes. And Gavin Newsom is concerned about his hair gel? Have you seen this idiot with his hair? How much, Mel Gibson is completely correct. What happened to all the billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in taxes? What does that all go to his hair gel? Him with his stupid Ray-Ban sunglasses and hair gel. The guy thinks he's modeling. Really, the guy thinks he's auditioning for a role in Hollywood. And it's more than that. As Victor Davis Hanson rightly said, this is the culmination of DEI, Green New Deal, hydrogen bomb. That's what these wildfires are. It is the culmination of DEI, Green New Deal. This is a hydrogen bomb. Who has been pushing an anti-fossil fuel agenda? California. Who has been pushing, in the name of climate change, the deindustrialization of California? Gavin Newsom. The defarming of California? Gavin Newsom. They don't have enough power, literally enough power, to respond when there's a crisis of this scale. They had to cut off electricity. They're claiming now they can't even have enough power to pump the water, the little water that they have. To the point now, as Victor Davis Hanson rightly said, we're reverting to the 19th century. Really, no, literally, in front of our eyes. In the 19th century, people were defenseless against fires. And in the 21st century, in 2025, one of the wealthiest states, one of the wealthiest counties in the wealthiest states, in the wealthiest country in the world, and you have no water to prevent. Now, wildfires may start, but if you've got a ton of water, you can prevent them from becoming raging infernos. If you do proper forestry management, and you clear out the forest floors and all the underbrush, and you do controlled burns, of course, you can prevent the hellscape that is now Southern California. But because they have deliberately pushed the deindustrialization of that state, the defarming of that state, because you see, agriculture is bad. Why is agriculture bad? Because it releases too much carbon. So don't grow food, don't grow anything, because it's bad for the environment. Well, you're going to starve. Genius, hello. No fossil fuels. Okay, now you don't have the energy to power a modern state, to be able to deal with national catastrophes. And as Victor Davis Hanson put it, the decivilizing. You're destroying civilization. That's essentially what you're seeing now is the fanaticism of the green environmentalists who have now destroyed California and left it utterly vulnerable and helpless to wildfires, to the point now there's no water. And some of the most gorgeous, beautiful homes in the world, in some of the most iconic areas in the world. Sunset Boulevard is burning. Malibu is burning. Downtown Los Angeles, Hollywood is burning. Beverly Hills is burning. The Pacific Palisades are burning. Pasadena is burning. And like a pitiful, helpless giant, because he has so deindustrialized that state. And really, in this push, where's your solar power now? Where's your wind power now? Fossil fuels is the backbone of a modern, prosperous, technologically advanced society. Oil and natural gas creates power and electricity. You try to destroy fossil fuels, you are now sending us back 150 years. And let me just end by saying this, and I think this was the most brilliant thing Victor Davis Hanson has said. And he lives in California, so he sees these crazy moonbats on a daily basis the way I do in Massachusetts. What you're witnessing in California, and I just want you to stand back objectively, you're promoting fire chiefs because they're a lesbian. You're literally you're promoting people and electing people solely because of their sexual orientation or their skin color or their plumbing or their gender, not for their merit, not for their ability, not for their performance, to the point that there's no water. To the point that this woman, Karen Bass, is so stupid and so negligent and so irresponsible that when she comes back from a trip to Africa and is confronted by a reporter, why were you in Africa? Your city was burning. Hello. Hey, why did you cut nearly $20 million out of fire budget? Are you nuts? Why did you send all this equipment to Ukraine? Why are there no water in your hydrants? How could you be this negligent? How could you be this inept? She has nothing to say because there's nothing she can say. And the people of California, these woke idiots, I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it, these left-wing progressive morons, keep voting them in. And as Victor Davis Hanson said, we are now watching the effects, the consequences of a society gone mad. We throw this term around, insanity, very loosely. Victor Davis Hanson says, no, really. We're seeing a society that is slowly going mad. Nero Newsom is fiddling while Southern California burns. And the liberals think it's just great. This is what is absolutely incredible. And Victor Davis Hanson says, if this continues, we will become a third world country. It's inevitable. And already parts of America, and I'm telling you, I would argue that Southern California is already a third world hellhole. I think parts of Chicago, third world hellhole. I think parts of Boston. I think parts of Cambridge. I think parts of New York City. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you. This was my fault. I should have asked this several hours ago, but let that go. The Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Is Trump, in your view, a felon? Is he a legitimate felon? A, yes. B, no. He's going to be sentenced in about 10 minutes. So it's almost a moot point because the judge will definitely say will sentence him as a convicted felon. And Trump will go down in history now as the first convicted felon to become president of the United States, which really was the point of the whole thing. Anyway, I want to hear from you. I am a hell no. I am B on this all the way. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. If you prefer, you can vote via X, my handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn as in national ER. This is a really good text from 508. Jeff, it's interesting. There's no crime. There's no victim. And after 9:30 this morning, no punishment. So what was the purpose of all this? Just so they could call Trump a convicted felon? Question mark. How can he be a felon if there was no crime and no victim? Democrat logic. Bingo. Bingo. This is from 212. Jeff, with regard to the porn actress Stormy Daniels, and this is a brilliant point, a felony was indeed committed, Jeff. It was done by Stormy. Stormy Daniels committed extortion by approaching Trump with the demand to be paid off. You are so 212, you're a genius. She extorted him. She was blackmailing him. If any crime was committed, it was by her. One last one. This is from 517. Jeff, if you're a lib, who cares if all the hydrants in the burnt-out areas in California are without water? They're painted with LGBTQ rainbow colors, and that's the only thing that counts. Liberalism is a mental disorder, and California is now starting to feel it and experience it the hard way. 617-266-6868. Mike, who do you want me to go to next? Ellie in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Ellie, and welcome.
Hi, how are you, Jeff? How you doing?
Very good. How are you, Ellie?
Very good. And love and respects to your dad.
Thank you.
He's probably listening to you right now.
Thank you, Ellie.
As far as the Trump thing in New York, for 10 years, the whole world has heard nothing but lies. 10 years. Everything was disputed. Everything was proof that they were lying. The whole world knows now. And this isn't necessarily against Trump either. This is against the 80 million innocent patriots in this country that were also lied about, thrown in jail and all that stuff like that. It's not all about Trump. It's against people who love freedom in general. And we spent millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars to try to get this guy. So after 10 years of lies, anyone with half a brain now knows the truth worldwide. Even in Iceland, they have a small group of men called the Trump Club, and a couple of these guys even flew to Florida on election day just to show their support, red hats and all. So the whole world knows now what this is all about. New York SSDD, felon, now it's just a diversion. It means nothing now because the world has already decided they won't be lied to anymore. And the media can lie all they want. We wouldn't believe them now if they said the sky was blue. So they cried wolf too much. So they're obsolete now. Anything they say means nothing.
No, excellent. Their hatred for Trump has essentially consumed them. It's destroyed them. And you're right. The media has been totally discredited. The Democrats and their lawfare has been totally discredited. And Ellie, I don't know if you remember the late 80s, early 90s, but I remember the global prestige and sympathy for and support for Nelson Mandela, who was falsely imprisoned, persecuted by the apartheid regime in South Africa. And it didn't matter what the regime said about him. He became a martyr. And that's, I think, what they've now done to Trump. They've turned Trump now into a martyr. And you're right. You talk about Iceland. They love him in Greenland. They love him in Finland. They love him, across Europe. They love him here in Canada. You wouldn't believe how many people love him. They love him in Latin America. They love him in Asia. They love him in Africa. They love him all over the world. And I think a major reason is because they can see that he is an innocent man who has been unfairly targeted, harassed, and persecuted by really evil people who want to destroy not just this country, but ultimately the world. Okay, joining me now, as she always does at this time, she is the co-founder, CEO, president, and yes, that is her name, Kelly of Kelly Financial Services. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. When interest rates fall, reassessing your financial strategies may protect you from the challenges that lower yields bring. While no one can predict the future, and with the Federal Reserve's policies influenced by many different factors, don't let a changing rate environment impact your nest egg. Our Kelly advisors can help you determine if lower interest rates might affect your current retirement goals. They can develop a plan for a balanced, diversified portfolio that manages risk while still offering potential for growth. We also have a new investor guide called Helping to Guard Your Golden Years, Ways to Preserve Your Retirement in a Shifting Economy, that might just help you hold on to the money you have. For the guide or for a free consultation with a Kelly advisor, give us a call or email kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation with our Kelly advisors tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or go to our website for our radio rewind. Jeff, have a restful weekend. Our prayers and hearts are with you and your family, and glad you're back.
Thank you. And Kelly, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for those wonderful flowers you sent for my dad's wake and funeral. I will never forget it. God bless you, Kelly, and everyone at Kelly Financial. And have a great, great weekend. Okay, my friends, call 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881, or email. You can email Kelly herself, kelly@kellyfinancial.org, kelly@kellyfinancial.org. All right, super quick, because one of the previous callers, I think it was Ellie, who made a really good point, that all the Democrats have now are lies. They've lied about Trump. They've lied about him for 10 years. They lied about Obama. They lied about Biden. They lied about Biden's cognitive decline. They lied about him as president. They lied about Kamala. All they do is lie. I want you to listen now to this. The media continues to lie. And it didn't work to cover up Biden. It hasn't worked in trying to defame or slander or stop Trump. And it's not working now to try to save Gavin Newsom. Because, as I said yesterday in an interview on Irish radio, Gavin Newsom's national political aspirations after this are finished. He may if he wants to be governor, yeah, they're crazy enough down there maybe to vote for him again. But in terms of being a serious candidate in 2028, a national political force to be reckoned with, he is finished. Okay? He's burnt to a crisp. Put a fork in him. He's done. He's done. Listen now to the local media. You think it's bad at a national level. The local media in Los Angeles, I'm telling you, is as bad as the local media here in Boston. My God, are they mouthpieces for the Democrats? I mean, it's disgusting. They're bootlickers. So the bootlickers at the LA, what passes for the so-called media. Now they're trying to claim of course there's water in the hydrants. No, this was a smear, a lie being pushed by the Republican mayoral candidate, Rick Caruso. So listen to this, okay? This is a guy called Melvin Robert on Fox 11 LA. He's a local anchor. Listen to what he says. Just because this Republican candidate says it doesn't mean it's true. Roll cut 6. Mike.
Despite what you have heard from Caruso, no firefighters have told us that they are running out of water.
Really? Okay. So after he says that, he then goes to his correspondent. Her name is Gigi Graciette. Hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. Fox 11. She's literally the correspondent for this guy. Okay, with this guy. The same correspondent with this host. And he says, so what are you seeing on the ground there? Well, listen to his own correspondent. I guess she didn't get the memo. The memo is protect Gavin Newsom. Of course there's water in the fire hydrants. Lie, lie, lie. Well, she didn't get the memo. Listen to this. Right after he says it, he goes to her. Here's what she says. Roll cut 6A. Mike.
It is very emotional. These are people's houses, their memories, their belongings. It's very difficult to see. It's very difficult, as it is for firefighters to watch this. Now you are looking live. It looks like they have a hose in their hand. Some of these hoses, we're told, are connected to the swimming pool next door. But again, water has been a huge issue. Firefighters on the scene confirming that to me here.
There's no water. That's why they have to take water from a swimming pool. So he's saying it's all political. Of course there's water in the hydrants. So, Gigi, what are you seeing down there? Well, it's emotional. Everything's being burnt, going up in smoke, and there's no water in the hydrants. That's why they got to get the water from the swimming pools. Because there's no water. Now, I'm telling you, you think she's going to be given a pat on the back for good reporting and telling the truth? No. They're gonna read her the riot act. Gigi, hey, I told you, check your emails every 2 minutes. Hey, the script changes. We got to protect the model, Gavin Newsom. Come on, his hair gel. He looks great on TV. We got to cover up for that loser. You want to see how pathetic he is? Listen to this. You can't make this up. Okay, you can't make this up. A mother in Los Angeles confronts Gavin Newsom. He's got the hair all slicked back, all that gel. He's got his Ray-Ban sunglasses on, the stupid black windbreaker. He thinks he puts on a windbreaker, and oh, look at me. Oh boy, I'm so gubernatorial. Oh, I'm such an executive. Look at this. I'm on the scene. I've got the black windbreaker on. And she confronts him. And she confronts him about all of his failures to his face. She's literally 6 inches from the guy. And then he says he's taking a call. You got to hear it to believe it. Listen to this. Roll cut 7, Mike.
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. Losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
to
everything
fill the hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
Here's the coup de grace, okay, as the French would say, the ultimate blow. He says, I'm trying to reach Biden. I can't continue talking with you. I'm on the phone with the president. Here's the problem. There's nobody on the effing phone. You can't make this up. I swear to you. The screen is blank. It's dark. There's nobody on the phone. So you've got this despondent mother whose the daughter's school just literally went up in smoke, okay, burned to the ground. Houses burned everywhere. And she's saying, the basic of basic questions. Why was there no water in the fire hydrants? I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to get us some money, and this will never happen again. This can never happen again. Hold on. I'm trying to reach the president. There's nobody on the phone. You phony, you fraud, you. I'm sorry, you moonbat piece of you-know-what, you POS. How you can lie to this grieving mother to her face like this. And by the way, she pays taxes through the nose like everybody else does that owns homes and property in Los Angeles. And she's got to tell him, I'll put the water in the hydrants. How much time left, Mike? Okay, I'm going to play a cut coming back in from Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida. I want all of you to hear it, and I promise I'm going to go back to the phone lines. Ron DeSantis said, if Gavin Newsom was a Republican governor, especially a conservative Republican governor, with this kind of colossal mismanagement and the mendacity, the lies, the media would literally crucify him. They would nail him to the wall. Instead, it's lie, lie, and lie.
Is it appropriate for the president-elect or a president to be criticizing?
Is it appropriate for people in your industry to try to create division and to try to create narratives anytime these things happen? Now, you're not as interested in doing that because Newsom is a D. If Newsom was a Republican, you guys would you would have him nailed to the wall for what they're doing over there. And I know we dealt with it. We just assume in Florida, anytime something happens, it's going to be politicized by the media. So you guys sitting in judgment of Donald Trump, I mean, excuse me, I think your track record of politicizing these things is very, very bad.
That was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. I could not, on this issue, agree with him more. 9:48 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Can you imagine if Newsom wasn't a D, as he put it, a Democrat, but a Republican, especially a conservative Republican, with the disaster and the catastrophe that's unfolding and the sheer incompetence and mismanagement and neglect? Oh, my God. They would have destroyed him. I mean, destroyed him. Agree, disagree. David in Lowell. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome. David? Did we lose David? Mike, you want me to go to some? Rich in Methuen. Thanks for holding, Rich, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you? My condolences and my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family.
Thank you very much, Rich. Thank you.
I have 2 great points. I think they're great points I want to bring out to you. First of all, my concern about the conviction, whatever he does, Raskin has been saying that they're going to try and stop this before he is inaugurated. So how are they going to do this? They're going to say, well, now that he's convicted, we can't let him be the president of the United States. That really concerns me. The other thing is, Justice Roberts, sua sponte, the Supreme Court could step down and have taken this case when they know there was never a crime. There was all being put. It's all setting precedent, bad precedent, because they're just making up laws that don't exist. And I don't understand why he hasn't, other than the fact that he's been compromised with the Epstein files that might come out after Trump gets in office. And I don't know where Coney Barrett stands. But the final thing I want to bring up is with regard to California. Do you realize that there are 2 billionaires that have complete control of the water supply throughout all of California? It goes back to 1994 when they got an agreement. I guess the name is the Resnick. I saw a thing on it this morning, and I thought, wow, that's a shock.
Rich, I definitely want to further investigate and research these 2 billionaires. I want to look into it, in fact, probably right after the show, because that's a very important piece of information. Look, I'm so happy you had the guts to mention Chief Justice John Roberts. I think he's being blackmailed. The scuttlebutt for years was Rich, that it was over the adoption of his children. And apparently there was something, it was an international adoption. And they said there was something illegal involved in the adoption of his children. That was the allegation. Now, there are a lot of people saying it may be because he's on the Epstein list. Now, I don't know if he is. That's why one of the first things I want Trump to do when he's inaugurated in 10 days with Pam Bondi as his attorney general is release the Epstein list. We want to know who was on his list. And if, I'm just saying if, I'm not saying he is, but if Roberts was on that list, we, the American people, have a right to know, we deserve to know. Because we need to know if our Chief Justice is being blackmailed. Now, as for Amy Coney Barrett, this is my sense. You may disagree with me, Rich. They threatened her children. After she was sworn in, as you know, the left went berserk. They targeted her. They targeted Kavanaugh. They targeted Gorsuch. They were protesting in front of these judges' homes or justices' homes. They wanted to kill them. They kept hanging them in effigy. And apparently they really threatened her children. Now, and she's a very loving mother, a very caring mother, which is a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. But people are saying ever since they went after her children, she has not been the same person. Final word to you, Rich.
Well, I agree with you. I think that's true, that after they went after our children. I think, though, seriously, though, why is it so many of these decisions that Roberts has made have been totally against the grain of conservative justice, so there's something more to it than just the adoption of his 2 children from Europe. There's got to be, and I think the vetting process that they put the Congress people through, the cabinet people through. Why wasn't that vetting done before?
Oh, I agree.
Because he has not ruled so many times. He's
a Judas.
Like in this case.
Oh, Rich, he's a Judas. You're completely right. He's a backstabbing Judas. That's what he is. And it's over and over. Look, I understand justices have their own minds. They're independent. And on certain issues, they'll surprise you. Okay, I get that. But we're not talking about a one-off here or a one-off there. It's consistently always voting against conservatives. But he claims to be a conservative justice. And his record before the Supreme Court was he was a conservative judge. I think it's obvious he's being blackmailed. The only question now is over what? And I'm with you. I want to look at the Epstein list because something doesn't smell right. Something is rotten in Denmark, or in this case, something is rotten in the Supreme Court. Rich, thank you very much for that call and for the courage of raising that issue. 617-266-6868. Maestro Mike, where do I go to next? Paul in the great state of New Hampshire, the Freedom State. Thanks for holding, Mike. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Again, condolences for your father.
Thank you, Paul.
So I have 2 points I want to make, Jeff. What does Jesus Christ, Nelson Mandela, Lech Walesa, and Donald Trump have in common?
Oh, Paul, I love where you're going with this. They were all innocent?
and they were adjudicated by illegitimate tribunals. And that's exactly what happened here. So as far as I'm concerned, the mark of being a felon means nothing to all of us because it's an illegitimate mark. And the Democrats are going to rue the day they did this. The boomerang effect is going to come again, just like they have. How many things have they done that have come back to hurt them as recently as last week when Kamala had to certify the election?
Paul, it's a shame you're calling now because I'm telling you this is the call of the week. I'm telling you this is the call of the week, and this is an incredible way to end the show and to end the week. Again, what did I say? Best audience in the business. What did Jesus Christ, Nelson Mandela, Lech Walesa, and Donald Trump all have in common? They were all innocent martyrs, innocent victims of an illegitimate, corrupt tribunal. And all of them were ultimately vindicated. Every single one of them. And God willing, Donald Trump will be vindicated again.